ग्लोबल स्किल डेवलपमेंट मिशन में आपका स्वागत है।
All right, now I wanted to do an extra exercise related to the tools and software that we're going to be using, but specific to web design, simply because so many people are interested in getting into web design specifically. So this exercise is related to some of the specific tools and software and platforms that you may want to consider using if you're interested in getting more and more into web design. Now, if you want to get into web design, the first thing that you need is some web browsers. Now, here are the 5 standard browsers that we have across a variety of computer platforms. We have, of course, Internet Explorer, Safari, which is available for both the Windows and also, of course, the Mac platforms. We have Google Chrome, we have Firefox, and then the straggler is Opera way over on the right-hand side. Now, if you want to make sure that you have all these browsers installed properly on your computer, which you would want to do if you want to get into web design because you want to be able to test your layouts in a variety of web browsers, then head over to browsehappy.com. Browsehappy.com is a really great site. It makes sure that you have all of the most popular browsers installed to the latest versions. Okay, so a great little site there that you might want to make use of. Okay, now, if we want to get into web design, the next thing that we need is some kind of a web editor or some kind of an application or a program that's going to help us code. Web design is all about HTML and also CSS. We could also get into some other technologies like JavaScript or jQuery. There's even more. There's PHP and a few others. We could use Adobe Dreamweaver, which we discussed in the previous exercise. However, sometimes people don't want to use, remember Dreamweaver is a WYSIWYG editor. Some people don't want to use a WYSIWYG editor. They want to actually code by hand. And that's perfectly fine to code out a website by hand. You could keep it incredibly simple and just use Notepad on your Windows computer. Or if you have a Macintosh, you have TextEdit. These are plain text programs or plain text editors, which you could certainly make use of if you wanted to. You could also use Notepad++ on the Windows side, and you can check that out over at notepad-plus-plus.org. I believe that this guy is free. I'm not 100% sure. On the Mac side, we have an application called Coda, which you can go and check out at panic.com/Coda. And as a side note, as a Mac user, I love Coda. I've been using Coda for a few years now, and it is my personal web editor or coding application of choice. Okay? But there are tons and tons of them. Practically thousands of them available. Here's another one. You could check out Thimble, and there's the URL for Thimble, thimble.webmaker.org. You could check out codeanywhere.com. That's another option. Or HTML Pencil, which is kind of a neat application, htmlpencil.appspot.com. So if you're interested in getting into this sort of thing, download a few free ones, try them out, see if you like them, and go with whichever one is comfortable for you. Okay? As I say, there are many, many web editors and coding applications available. Okay, next, we have something called a CMS platform. This is optional. CMS stands for Content Management System, and essentially what it will allow us to do is build a website without having a need to look at the code at all. There's usually some kind of an interface where we can type in the text for different pages. We can create content very simply with a point-and-click interface. Very, very straightforward, especially for non-technical people. However, CMS platforms also provide a lot of horsepower. So if you want to lift the hood and get in there and start customizing things, you certainly can. The most popular content management system on the planet by far is WordPress, and you can check out WordPress over at wordpress.org. Have you heard of WordPress before? If you have, you may instantly think blogging, and that's where WordPress started, but WordPress is so powerful that a lot of large companies are now using WordPress as their main content management system to organize their online resources. But there's many others. There's Joomla, which you can check out at joomla.org. There's Drupal. These two are also very popular, by the way, Joomla and Drupal. And Drupal, of course, you can check out over at drupal.org. There's another one called Concrete 5, which you can check out. And there's also Text Pattern, available over at textpattern.com. Okay? All right. Now, next, here's a handful of add-ons or plugins for your web browsers to make your web design experience a little more straightforward, a little bit easier for you. A variety of these tools that I'm about to discuss I use personally as well. First of all, there's a plugin called Eyedropper, which is available for Chrome. This guy I do use. He allows us to sample color the RGB color values from any website. It's really awesome. Now, I was going to give you the URL for the Eyedropper add-on, but it's this huge long URL. It's a lot easier for you to just do a quick Google search for Eyedropper Chrome, and you'll find a link for it. Okay? All right. Here's another one that I use, Colorzilla. Very popular add-on or plugin for both Chrome and Firefox, of course, as the name implies, related to working with color in web design. We also have Firebug, which I can't recommend enough. This is a plugin for Firefox, and you can go and grab this guy over at getfirebug.com. This guy will let you dissect web pages and see what's going on inside the code. Very, very handy. Okay? And then last but not least, and I got to recommend this one as well. This is another one that I use. This is the Web Developer Toolbar specifically for Firefox. The URL is crazy long, but I stuck it in there for you anyway. addons.mozilla.org/en-us/Firefox/addon/web-developer. And you'll find the Web Developer Toolbar. So go and find these guys and install them into your browsers. Oh, and there's one more that I want to mention here, Measure It, or Measure IT. addons.mozilla.org, and then there's the rest of the URL. I won't bother reading it all off. But this guy allows us to, it's almost like a ruler. We can measure widths, measure the heights of objects inside of our web pages. Very, very handy. So in any regard, there you go. There's your browser plugins. And there's a look at some specific tools and software that you'll definitely want to check out in the world of web design.